당은 좀 그지. 네. 당은 저 디기 대화 대화도 동아 미디 봐서 돼. 지상 동아시아 디 아는 거 저기 강아지 세오레스. 다디세라 강아기 안에 요하에 규디가르스네 뇽모 바레스. 지상다 뇽모 바데 방고레제. 안제네 다 디기 주베게다 좀 겨와치 말하다미 고반토야라 아니 디기 주베레 띠엔캬바젠 아니 원디오 고바치고 고 디토야라 안주게네 지 진바도 주름라서 백념네 제 오레스 되는지 안에 그세 되시 안 되는 자당 안주게 다당 안주게 뇽모 주름 손에 뇽모 바게야리 디버 빠야데 아니 녜마게 디버 사셰게디네 가르치 오래라나 단 녜마디기 디버 사셰게다 여바이나 그래서 차사 님보 돕시고네 샤고레스 제가 님보 돕시고네 샤고레스 안 기생은 님보 돕시고네 안 디베 샤다고 디셰와.
Good evening. Last week we continued to look at how to cultivate the paths within ourselves that lead to the achievement of our desired happiness and the elimination of all problems and difficulties. So here we spoke about that, we've been looking at now in the context of the presentation on karma over the last couple of months, that in order to achieve our desired happiness, such as good rebirths, we need to identify what those causes are and strive to accumulate the causes in order to achieve the desired result. If the result that we long for good rebirth, at least as a good rebirth such as we've achieved now, means we need to continue to cultivate the causes of ethical restraint, generosity, patience, joyous perseverance, and prayer. And in addition to accumulating the causes for our desired results, the unwanted results, the experiences of suffering and all our problems and difficulties, these all also come from causes. So therefore, we need to identify these causes and ensure that we, firstly, refrain from accumulating the causes that will lead to suffering. And in addition, those causes that lead to suffering that we have already accumulated in this and previous lifetimes, these have to be purified. And last week, this final point is what we looked at in detail, the purification of previously accumulated non-virtue through the application of the four opponent powers. So now we'll continue on page 27, where we come to a verse from the short Lama Tsongkhapa's short Lam Rim, or the Song of Experience, which summarizes what we've been looking at here. So on page 27, should you not find a suitable rebirth, it will not be possible to progress along the path. Cultivate the causes of our high rebirth. Appreciate the importance of purifying the three doors from stains of non-virtue. Cherish the force of the four opponent powers.
람초 두블라 칭이 창위 디엔시도 당하는 그신이 마셔바나 이래 당하는 저기 가르쳐서는 단 람초 세디 당하서 람 될래야 아니 기부 중요한 남일인 바셔야 기부 딩게 남일인 바 기부 청이 침별 남일인 바셔야지 다시 디수면 안에 초디 기부 침별 남일인 바시고 그래 지상 상기고 뭐 토발라 기부 침별 남일인 바데 냠술 렌제 상계나 마도디 냠술면 바 상계도 요요 말 매바자다 람이 초세다 람초 지사 람이 초세 디세 지사 디 람이 초디 마은소이 냠술렌 냠는 제발라 아니 디엔디 베 마시 챙이 상와지고 그래 디엔 챙이 상와지고 그래 지사 디엔데라 챙이 상와지 매바이나 아니 냠는 제도에 이거 거브레고 말해지 디엔 챙이 상와데 가르스는 마은소이 신경 마셔바나지 denjugi and lutin dire denjugi lutin ane kaso 리딘 개발전이 토고를 디달 만족에 전주 개발 침비취 남념는 지하래第错的结果了解的，就是咱做出了成绩参与点些的时候。
Should you not find a suitable rebirth, it will not be possible to progress along the path. The path that is referred to here, let's retranslate these first two lines. Unless you have gained a rebirth with characteristics complete, you will lack the basis required for accomplishing the supreme path. So that's a closer translation. Unless you have gained a rebirth with characteristics complete, you will lack the basis required for accomplishing the supreme path. So amongst the paths of beings of initial capacity, intermediate capacity, and supreme capacity here, it's referring to the path of a being of supreme capacity. And in order to accomplish this path, which is the path of bodhicitta, which leads to enlightenment, one requires a rebirth with characteristics complete. Characteristics complete refers to a section we looked at last year, that of a precious human rebirth, a rebirth marked with the 18 freedoms and endowments. So it's through achieving such a rebirth with complete characteristics, that one is able to cultivate and the path of the bodhisattvas, the path of the Mahayana Dharma, progressing towards the supreme attainment, that of enlightenment for the sake of others.
미국 원대고 보토야지 아서 나성을 타 원대고 보토야지 난 초디 아니 원도 띵기 되어토야지 띵기 되와 아니 탈바다 탐지기고 보토야지 지사 초어서야 돼 제사다 초어서야지 탈바다 탐지기고 보토야지 람 초어서 탈바다 탐지기고 토베 톱자 초 탈바다 탐지기고 보토야지 람디 디토야지 톱 람 냠수 렌고 데 냠수 람 냠는 맞이나 디톡토고 말해 지사 람 냠수 렌제 디토고자 다 디니기 람 냠수 레기 나 톱저 톱 탈두고 초데 톱 얘기 된다 람 냠수 리베 딘데라 아니 유게 개발지고 그래서 된주기는 리게 고그래서 돼 온두시 초어서 돼 디네고나 지고 되네 지시게 말 지해서 채고래
The path to be cultivated, or the supreme path to be cultivated, is the path of bodhisattvas, the path that leads to enlightenment for the sake of others. This is the path of a practitioner of greatest capacity or supreme capacity. In order to achieve this greatest of goals, one needs to accomplish both temporary goals as well as the final or the ultimate goal. The temporary goals that are referred to in this context are a string of good rebirths, or literally what we have in Tibetan, the physical basis with complete characteristics. So this refers to precious human rebirth, or rebirth as a particular God, a particular type of God, as well as thereby being free of a lower realm rebirth. So in other words, the attainment of lifetime to lifetime of a rebirth that is ideally suited for entering into the paths of the Mahayana, in other words, cultivating bodhicitta within one's continuum, and then secondly, progressing along those paths. So this is the temporary goal of the temporary goal, or temporary goals are good rebirths, where one achieves the temporary happiness of a good rebirth, freed from a lower realm rebirth. And all of these are achieved with the intention of achieving the ultimate or the final goal, that of Buddhahood for the sake of others. So here Lama Tsongkhapa is referring specifically or literally to the supreme path, which means the path of the Mahayana Dharma. And this is what we should be training in. And to do so, we need this ideal basis with complete characteristics, such as a precious human rebirth. Again, look at what we have here. Unless you have gained a rebirth with characteristics complete, you will lack the basis required for accomplishing the supreme path. Here it should be very clear that in order to have the sufficient capacity as a practitioner to firstly achieve or accomplish the Mahayana paths, cultivate them within oneself, as well as to progress along those paths, one has to have a suitable basis, such as a precious human rebirth or that as a god. Without that, one will not have the sufficient capacity to cultivate or progress along the path. And this is important to be clear on, because one may think that achieving a human rebirth is sufficient, but one requires a human rebirth where one has characteristics complete, all 18 of the freedoms and opportunities. For example, if someone has a human rebirth, perhaps with many or a variety of good qualities, but for example, their sense faculties aren't complete. Perhaps they're blind, or they have a severe hearing impediment, or a severe impediment of their mental faculties. This will serve as a great obstacle to their cultivation of the parts of the Dharma within themselves. They will lack sufficient capacity or ability to cultivate the parts of the Dharma within themselves. And this is because amongst the 10 endowments, there are those which are related to having, in this illustration, complete sense faculties. And similarly, a human who has wrong views, such as not accepting the presentations within the Buddha Dharma, such as or maybe the foundational presentations within the Buddha Dharma, such as that of cause and effect. Not accepting this, they are not going to train in the cultivation of the causes, as well as the abandonment of other causes that lead to the achievement of a path. Not engaging in the required trainings, no path will be achieved. So here, this is a person, a human, who doesn't have the complete freedoms and endowments, and therefore this serves as an impediment or an obstacle to the achievement or the cultivation of a path.
지사 람 냠린 제발에 태바침을 주에 냠린 야구 제제 나서 산지역 고방 토역이 람 냠린 제발라 디엔데를 리딩 제바제 세계 차와 안에 된주 리딩 고레스 지사 디니게 된주 리딩 지메바 있나 나서 디엔데 야 안에 지금 태바침을 주에 냠린 제제 아니야 산지역 고방 또 투마레스 숨어와다 된다 지스고래.
The essence then of these first two lines, unless you have gained a rebirth with characteristics complete, you will lack the basis required for accomplishing the supreme path, is that in order for one's practice of the Buddha Dharma to go well, one needs a complete human rebirth that is a precious human rebirth. Therefore, one should not ignore the cultivation of the causes that will lead to such an ideal basis, that will lead to this required basis from lifetime to lifetime.
규디 안에 하고 와지 되니 규디 내가 봐 심주제 하고 와지 되니 규디야 마사오면 말에 규디를 납고 장고를 해서 규디 싸고 해서 보다 유튜브를 해서 마사오면 규디를 납시.
The third line, cultivate the causes of a high rebirth. So let's retranslate this third line then. Therefore, train in those causes which are not yet complete. Then the understanding of this different translation is, because the different translation matches Genla's explanation, because here one needs to train in not only the causes that lead to a good rebirth, but one also has to know the causes that lead to liberation and enlightenment and train in those. So reread the third line. Therefore, train in those causes which are not yet complete. And again, this relates to not just to achieve a good rebirth, but because this is the context of the Mahayana, one is striving to achieve a good rebirth in order to attain liberation and enlightenment, and therefore one needs to know those causes well and train in them as well.
데 토베 규디 마주게 규주보고를 유념된 사고와 규디 주야라 규디 주탄 가르가르 이메다 하고 신고고와 지난 규디 하고 그래 하고네 규디 주탄 냠는 제타 신고래 디네자 규를 납고 레시다 간질에 저기 대주를 루틴 티비 유카르에서는 마 안에 기위 신인자의 퇴제 장 퇴바체 된다들 삼다지 되네는 냠는 규를 자지 납고 그래서 규를 냠는 지오래서 납세야디 저기 퇴바체 바장 신화체 하고바체 되네야 저 냠는 지 납세 납야들 니도와 납야들 당보하고바체 기위 신인자를 바장체 납야 직제 되네 하고네 소소라게 냠는 지 바 장도를 제 납야 직제 어디니게 납고 그래서
As we have here in our book, cultivate the causes. So if we understand here the causes, then we need to understand more broadly causes that will lead to not only a good rebirth, but also liberation and enlightenment. So there are a few key points to pull out here. In order for one's training to be successful, one has to know what the causes are to cultivate, and one needs to know how to cultivate those causes. So one needs knowledge, and based on that knowledge, one needs to know how to apply that knowledge to oneself. So one needs to acquire knowledge, but that knowledge should not be left at an intellectual level. It has to become experiential. in order for it to become experiential, firstly, knowledge needs to be acquired in order that it can then be transformed into experience. So whilst acquiring knowledge, one also needs to be cultivating it, gaining habituation to it, familiarity with it. So in other words, one needs to be gathering knowledge of what those causes are, and then putting that knowledge into practice. And putting that knowledge into practice means training one's mind. That's what it means to practice, train one's mind. And how does one do so? Through relying on one's spiritual teacher and following his advice. In other words, the trainings that are presented in teachings, this is the partition of both knowledge as well as how to accomplish that knowledge, how to put that knowledge into practice, how to use that knowledge to transform one's mind. So there are two steps which are done together: gaining of knowledge and together with this, training one's mind. So I'll read from my own translation these first 3 lines. Unless you have gained rebirth with characteristics complete, you will lack the basis required for accomplishing the supreme path. Therefore, train in those causes which are not yet complete. So I want to emphasize these words here, complete, which have appeared thus far twice. So the Buddhist community taught the complete and unmistaken path. Therefore, we have to follow his example and cultivate the complete causes in order to achieve the complete results. For example, wishing for the result of an ideal basis, a precious human rebirth, if one doesn't know and train in the complete causes that lead to a precious human rebirth, if those causes are incomplete, one won't achieve the desired result. Hence the emphasis on this term, complete. And if we ask what are the causes to be trained in brief, there will be generosity, ethical restraint, patience, joyous perseverance, concentration, and wisdom.
That's song. Then a Jimbe Yamne, Jimbe. This is how Milu to a cutie, Surum did it. Just when you go out to a guitar, Hadam, you go out to a cutie, Surum Soya did. Surum Soya dinner, Hadam, you go out to go. That Hadam, you go out in Delia on the Tunge Yahoyati, Jimba did it. She's not in that Jimbe Yamne, cutie. Carson, a tin, the Milu to a Kyoshina. And Chuchi and the Kamate Lua, just not Tungia Kamate was a deep Tungia Kamate, Dondala, and the Tungia where I think you guys of the Jibin and Charlie. That dinner, that Jiggy was the Miliki and the Miliki, then Tungia way over there. Jiwoma Masawa and Amjo Mahoa, Mik Malon, Noa, then the Gambala Laba made together, the Nibana, young Kamasiva, the Nizam of the Chin and the Javalet, Kamati. The needs are one for someone for that, and the chicken, these are the Julia, Subinium, or listen, or do she?
If one knows that primary cause or the cause for attaining a rebirth in the so-called happy migrations, that as a human or God, is the practice of ethical restraint, and thereby one makes great endeavors to ensure that one's way of thinking, one's way of thinking, and thereby one's physical and verbal activities are ethical, then one is accumulating the causes for a rebirth as a human or a God. But if that is the sole cause that one accumulates, or the one that one emphasizes at the expense of the others, then when such a cause ripens, one will achieve such a result, such as a rebirth as a human, but one will be impoverished, or one's will experience severe physical or mental impediments. So in such a situation then, whilst one has achieved a good rebirth, one still has major impediments such as impoverishment to meeting the Dharma and having the opportunity to hear teachings and reflect on them. So therefore, in addition to ethical restraint, one also, alongside it, needs to cultivate generosity, the cause which ensures that, that when it ripens, one has favorable circumstances for Dharma practice, such as good material conditions, as well as the practice of patience, which ensures our sense faculties are complete and we have harmonious relationships. If one cultivates these three crucial causes, that of ethical restraint, generosity, and patience, these are causes that will ensure one has a good rebirth, such as a human, has an abundance of good material circumstances, favorable circumstances, including good material conditions, and one's sense faculties are complete. But if one hasn't completed all the required causes or the complete causes, then one will lack an interest in the Dharma. One will not be naturally inclined to virtue. So whilst born as a human with an abundance of good resources and complete faculties, one will not be naturally a virtuous person or inclined towards the Dharma. And this is because one cause was not cultivated, that of joyous perseverance.
And denigi chelia doing uni meeting Divaroche and can't Divache, some Soya, then Divache, denigi, and then Ungurua meet in the Yoruba down. Desogarasene, the Milukia Lebade was Sudimki, soon with Jewels in the Milukia Lebarete, or Jimbi, Manyamin Bajabaza, Jimbi Tibumaza, and called Yochai, Dide. And then Masanga didn't say the Subian and Maji Yurua, and the Chicheri, Dunya meeting in Diwaja, Chikdo Shuchimbuena, the Zunyama Chiri, Cherry, Zundu Maji, Zundu, and maybe a dark Chagua.
For us, it's a little difficult to be aware of what's going on in the God realms, but we have, especially in our modern world, a very good idea of what is going on in the human world, in the human realm. So we can see amongst the 7 billion people that that these are beings who have accumulated ethical restraint and thereby are experiencing its result. But we can see, in terms of the other causes and their ripening effects, we can see where those have not been accumulated well enough that those people are experiencing those results. We see many, for example, who, whilst humans, are impoverished, or maybe not impoverished, but they are sufficiently poor so that they lack freedom. They have to put so much time and energy into just sustaining themselves. Similarly, there are those who have severe physical impediments, which serves as to heed or to impair any engagements in the Dharma. And there are those who are also naturally non-virtuous, who delight in non-virtue, and others who they may be virtuous, but they have no interest in the Dharma. So we can see, observe in the world these varying ripening results. And it's important that, having observed this, we take this as a warning to ourselves to ensure that we accumulate the complete causes to lead to the result that we require. In our world, we can see many humans who have wealth to at least to the degree where they are. It doesn't. Their lack of material resources don't hinder them in important ways. And secondly, that physically they don't have any major impediments. And thirdly, their physique is attractive. They also perhaps have some influence on others. They can have an impact on others. So there are these many good characteristics, but they have no interest in the Buddha Dharma. No interest at all. Moreover, with these good characteristics, they may lead very busy lives, drawn to this and that and various things often at the same time. So we can see which causes they have accumulated and thereby are experiencing the ripening effects of, but which causes were not accumulated. They lack joyous, the ripening result of joyous perseverance, in that they have no interest in the Buddha Dharma, even if they know people for whom the Buddha Dharma has transformed them. They remain uninclined to the Dharma. And also with this very distracted mind, distracted to many activities, they show that they haven't accumulated the causes of a concentrated mind, and thereby have this distracted way of thinking, distracted mind. Lama Bendigo, and the Chimon Banana, and Sangi Tempa and Java, and the Kiwi Shin data, and the Kitty Nana, and the Kiwi Shin also check.
ade ge xin de de che wo su xu je an dia ba qin bi che nyam na je go go ra wa shu se de an de ya na ya de mo lam je wo di mo lam mi de wo di gi an ko ma ho ba na an ji ge de ji mi le mi to ya de an di gi jian jiang a zu ya an che xie ke an ge ya wo re ya da an che xie sa da che yue sa da de le tu ya an che ji ya go ga ra tu ya de an che wo je de mo lam ja gi mo lam mi de wo che wo re.
Those who do have an interest in Buddha Dharma, this will have come from the cause of joyous perseverance in the practice of the Buddha Dharma. But in addition to this cause of joyous perseverance, as well as the previously mentioned three, there is a final cause that needs to be accumulated for the practice to be complete, and that is heartfelt prayer. Because one may have a strong inclination to the Buddha Dharma, interest in the Buddha Dharma, but lack the opportunity to meet a teacher or to receive teachings or to have an opportunity to put those teachings into practice. So merely having an interest in the Dharma, a longing for the Dharma, this too is insufficient. One needs to have completed accumulated the cause of prayer. Prayers such as, in all my future rebirths, wherever my teachers appear, may I too be born there. May I recognize them at a young age and receive many Mahayana teachings from them. May I spend my life under their direct care, training in their teachings, cultivating their teachings, and fulfilling all their holy wishes. So to making prayers such as these, one is creating the causes so that in our future rebirths, in addition to being inclined to the Dharma, one does meet one's teachers and have the opportunity to receive teachings, to be in an environment where one can receive teachings and train in those teachings.
Da milirimbochi mi gewale dene benjo tunge yabo yoba onbo changwa ane yaji chuje gi demba da dunya gi demba da yedi ba ine ya kashil ya chue jiao samne de dene gi dunya demba ine an chuje se ko mara chue xie sa mara an jing lu bo na ji ge chue xie hen me sa lu ba de wa de shin la de ba ine da ko chue xie ya chue nian ya ko re go mara chue xie gi yin gen yakut bachepada anjing denegi yen raya kangaru chi de yunguru wada chechawo deso digi dadeti na jugi mollam gi dese madawa so chegore kyang ma ju chi ji nyamne mollam ma jikshara madabi gyenu chegorwa.
And there certainly are those who have achieved a human rebirth, have abundance of material, of favorable circumstances, have complete sense faculties, are naturally virtuous and inclined to the Buddha Dharma, but they struggle to meet a qualified teacher. Maybe they don't meet a spiritual teacher at all, or if they do, they aren't qualified. Or they meet teachers, but very infrequently, they don't have for example, a Dharma center where they can come regularly to receive teachings, receive guidance in how to cultivate those teachings. So there are people like this. And this is because they have not created this cause of prayer and thereby have not experienced the ripening effects of it in this life.
Gazi na gewa kyanya sam gewi jawa kyanya sam da wada something cho something ngone de bare de nya ngana zuge shine ngone to mena something la na shine ko ko wa ji da da ji ji ne ba ji ko da shine ngone to mena ya na ji ngo something se de gewi cho ya san nam ji bin gewa kyanya sam ya sam de del kyanya shu che da de ba na something ngone ma ina something cho cha ko inde ne ge je ba ina ma ba na ane ji gewa che nyam ne che ba le 제 남미에 마소마 최고래 지고 근데 지금 양 저기 냠는 제주 갑라 최주 제주 갑라 엠사지 나카시 람사신 주주 람사신 어디를 디 말해서 람사신 애들이 시라기 냠는 차고래 지사 시랍기 다된 안 저기 시랍기 냠는 디기 리보들라 그래서 다된 안 저기 산이기 최최래 제바체야다 어디래와데 곰자데 제바체바이나 제바체비 시랍기 냠는 제바이나 근데 동아시대 간에서 딩고 동아 반다 간에서 방어디 유가를 보고서 아 저기 제바체도 진 심지 제바체바이나 디 디보들라 아 저기 최념는 지도 갑라 아니 남사 어디디리 디마레 디디리선 남사 신의日本 농부 차야다 리고 야고 차야디 시라기 리고 차고로와 어디 차고로.
Before I mentioned 6 causes. So in terms of a precious human rebirth, it's generally those 4 plus prayer. But let's then talk about how we can approach the 2 remaining causes of concentration and wisdom, and approach it from a side that is achievable. So we're not going to talk about single-pointed concentration or wisdom realizing emptiness, which are higher practices, but practices that are achievable for us. So the causes for concentration that we should be striving to accumulate right now is to keep our mind focused on virtue. So whatever virtuous minds one is cultivating in meditation, try keep your attention on those virtuous minds, both in and out of meditation. So whatever one is meditating on, not only in the meditation, keep one's mind concentrated, of course, on the topic of meditation, but try and keep that ever present to the greatest extent one can throughout the day. And in this way, we're developing concentration. Again, not a single point of concentration, but we're keeping our mind concentrated on virtue. We're keeping our mind from being distracted to non-virtue. So this is an achievable way that we can cultivate a mind that's on the side of concentration. And we're strengthening our familiarity, our habituation to virtue. And then secondly, in terms of wisdom, here through engaging in analytical meditation, taking the teachings, which always present a topic of the Buddha Dharma and how to analyze, how to investigate that topic. This is how we can, all of us can, cultivate our wisdom, cultivate the causes to be of sharp faculty, to be intelligent in our future lives. For example, in this context of karma, what are the causes that lead to happiness? How do I cultivate those? And here we analyze and we reflect. These are the causes, this is how to cultivate, and then we do cultivate. This is analysis. Likewise, the causes that lead to suffering, and then so the afflicted minds, and analyze the various afflicted minds. This is all using the mental factor of wisdom. So in this way, we're creating the causes to be more intelligent, to have sharper intelligence in our future lives.
당은 저게 dinner와 내가 저게 롭정으로 가르치고 있네. 롭정 들리바 장도를 지지 직장 요번에 안에 뭐 되었어요. 로제마 망고이 첼이나 어다디리 산디게 남사신의 지르버 물체로 와. 지난 디네 장을 저게 디나신 저게 셰럽기 제바체기 제바체기 제바다 방 장의 셰럽 넘보로 차바네 디기 제고도 망보나 디 바차지 샤디 되고대 넘보 차고와. 내가 제대로야 띵이들로 신 지금 진에 깨봐 있는 검다도 빼고라 신에 그지 맞게 봐 있는 저기야 직제지도 될려 내제변에 저기 권조숨라 겹수치에서 권조숨라 제지도 내제 파섬 다야다. 야지가 저기 점로지지 점로랑 삼다지 될려 제지 남 샤야 남매매 제지도 삼 다야다. 야지가 자주 셈로 검 계체제 야 될려 제지도 검제 안도 되어가다. 난 잡아다 제와다 되네 검지 제지도 되네 검지 남매 맞에 그 갈가슴도 수치도 검바이나 셈 나도 띵이 진디 그 람상 신의 토도야 말와 그 글리글리지 템포제 까마 베니 다보 세간직 이 숨네 되는 균네제 로고와 그 띵이 네야 되네 자고 두스치도 검바이나 가서 이 디고 검비 투기 아나 저기 다다가서 로텔 되네 뛰어서 검바이나 로마호바 로 이숨 제도 검바이나 검에도 뛰어서 야가 용투구로 와 셈 제지 네야 야가 용투구로 와 디나싱을 또 세딜을 두스는데 딩인들가 제주 내지가 공부이네 겨워치마 저기 된del이야 제주 내게 기회냐면 지야려 심 제주 딩이 주야라 레라라요도 지나 딩이 주야리 레라고 인부이나 다 레라요나 다 저게 남냠는 지야래 레라용고 봐.
Those with a committed practice, daily practice, these last 2 points really you can include right now, because what we engaged in is always accumulating causes that will lead to desired results, accumulating imprints. If you put the greater effort one puts in now, the way that one will experience that in future lives, is that in dependence on the imprints accumulated in the past, results will come much more easily. For example, if one makes great effort on a particular point of the Dharma in this life, in a future life, when we study that point, what others will take years to understand, you'll be able to understand very quickly, or to arise in your mind in a powerful manner very quickly. What is the difference between the one who gets it so quickly and the one who struggles? It's the power of the imprints accumulated in previous lives. So what I would encourage you to do is whatever is your primary object in meditation, let's say you're meditating on refuge. We spoke about the 2 causes of refuge, you're cultivating those 2 causes, giving rise to the mind of refuge. Or whether it's a mind of love, or a mind of compassion, or the mind of bodhicitta, whatever it is that you're cultivating, that is a process of analytical meditation. You're using reasons, you're looking at it from various points, so you're cultivating your wisdom. Then you get an arisal in your mind of that object. The mind of refuge arises, or love, or compassion, or bodhicitta arises within you. Then abide with that. Abide with that. Rest in that mind. Hold it single-pointedly. And what you're doing here is you're developing concentration on an object of analytical meditation. So you've followed analytical meditation with placement meditation. Part of the result of analytical meditation is to strengthen your wisdom. The result of placement meditation is to strengthen your concentration. And if you do this repeatedly over a sustained period, especially if you do it every single day, without a doubt, after a few years, that object that you're meditating on, whether it's love or compassion or refuge or bodhicitta, will be very powerful in your mind. Every day, a little bit, will grow stronger. Sometimes more quickly, sometimes it will seem but the same as the day before. But you always will be strengthening your habituation through repeatedly doing this, the same analytical meditation, and then holding the result with concentration. So both your side of wisdom and concentration, your minds of wisdom and concentration, will slowly become more powerful. And after a few years, will be completely different to what they are now, let alone the results that will come in future lives. So this I encourage you to do.
지나 삼된 냠난다 셰라 냠는세도 삼달에도 신에게 냠는시고래 셰라에도 동에 두비게 다동에 냠는시고래 다다 셰에데 삼된세데 지당만도 심 유이 기위 철이야 심 제주도 가지 네 툭툭지 냠는지야데 삼된세데 디 냠는시고래 아니 아직 셰랍세데 아주기 다 빵자세 빵고에데 가르가르샤 먼저 냠술랑고에데 가르가르샤 간네스 냠술랑고래 세트네 삼다 제바제데 셰랍 차고 어디서도 진짜 대소만족이 냠는지에 장도를 채워도 규디디다 마사오메 규디디 내려야만도 냠는지에 장 냠는지에 봐 장반데 디 주바이나 다 겨치마데라 된 단주미를 뭐지 아니 생이 차와기 잡아치면 취 냠는지에 된 생이 차와디 톱투고래 지사 된 된디기 잡아치면 취 탈바다 탐제기며 고방 투비기 냠는지에 된 생이 차와디 용화의 규리 다디 소리에 다디 라야 되는데
I'll read then the retranslation of these first 3 lines, because now I've covered this term complete in a complete manner. Unless you have gained a rebirth with characteristics complete, you will lack the basis required for accomplishing the supreme path. Therefore, train in those causes which are not yet complete. So here you're being encouraged to train in the complete causes. So for precious human rebirth, we know about ethical restraint, generosity, patience, choice, perseverance, prayer, and add to this concentration and wisdom. And I would really encourage you to train in concentration and wisdom in the way that I've just mentioned, because everyone can do this. Normally when you hear about concentration, it refers to single-pointed concentration. And where we hear about wisdom, it refers to the wisdom realizing emptiness, or the mind of special insight, or what we call it now, meditative insight, in a union with calm abiding, investigating reality. But this is really quite a high level. So let's work where we are now, train in the general 4 causes, but also whatever you're meditating on, do so through analysis, and this will sharpen your wisdom. And each time it arises in your mind, hold it in a concentrated way. And then when you lose the object, again, use your analysis, regenerate the mind of love or refuge, and then hold it with concentration. And doing so, you'll achieve the complete causes that will ensure that one has a precious human rebirth with all the qualities complete, and complete in a powerful manner. And if you aspire to actually enter the paths of bodhisattvas, this is the required training. Because, as you would have, of course, recognized, these 6 trainings, these 6 practices, which are combined or with prayer added to them, are done by bodhisattvas too. The difference, of course, for an actual bodhisattva is those practices are conjoined with bodhicitta, and they're all being done with the motivation to free all beings from suffering, the mind of compassion, and to lead beings to a state of lasting, stable happiness, the mind of love. So those minds have actually been cultivated in the bodhisattva. So for us, as aspirants, we need to do the same. And the bodhisattvas engage in the practices of the 6 perfections. And we are engaging in those same practices at a level that is real and true to us. And this is our foundation for the actual perfections. And that will enable us to, like the bodhisattvas, develop actual concentration, single-pointed concentration, and the actual wisdom realizing emptiness. So this is our foundation for the actual Mahayana paths.
마삼바제 탈바점 토고도 스타 소소라나 심지어 탐지기 되는 산조고와 토투사나 이나 소소라나 고유도가 타달을 주게 탈비고와 토고도 섬제 난 탈바도니에게 삼바지에 고유도가 말하는 탑미누 셈비 코와라 닝보메와 통 되는 코와를 주게 탈바세 토고도 섬 소소라나 탈바데 마톤데 지금미누 셈비 소소라나 탈바도니 tumba 삼라 나지 되네 람냠네 지리갑라 아니 군와티를 냠네 제데 진배 냠네 수제년에 수배 냠네 전에 삼제년에 시라 냠네 디두디 냠네 제디 두그래.
For those who, when they look deep inside and say, honestly, enlightenment, the achievement of enlightenment for me, it seems a bit daunting, but I do want to gain freedom from suffering and pain. I want to bring an end to all my misery. So such a person striving for their own liberation, they engage in these same practices. Their motivation, though, isn't enlightenment, it isn't just merely a good rebirth, but it is to gain freedom from the suffering realms of samsara. They have come to see that cyclic existence has no essence. There's nothing worthwhile, there's nothing worthy of longing for within samsara. So such a practitioner will engage in those same practices, but with a differing motivating mind.
기회 초라에 sem가지 제진이 두두게 고미하다 아니지 빠자다 검자 디제 디마레스 제바지 셰라비 냠내자 온도신의 대성을 저게 디시 셰바나 이제 다지 관절을 군로라 카와레마도 군로라 직디 군로데라 개와치마 안테사 된주기 되게 도구도 sembe 군로 디시 디랑네 냠내자데 지소두 파신 지소두 디시 다 개와치마 가스키와자 탈비고바 토마나 탈비고바 토구도 산조고바다 토구민데나 탈비고바 토구도 sembe 타바도게 sembe 군네나네 냠내 지리컵레나 하는 아주에 다들이 지소 주기 냠내지야래 semje 탐지기도 산조고바 토구도 세베네 냠내지야데 전주 sembe 군네나제 냠내지야데 파신 주기 냠내데 다다 전주 sembe 냠내 지리컵라 파신 semje 산조고바 토비 치르도 지소 냠내지데 파신 주기 냠내지 마시고래 매니 탈바도니에게 탈바잠 토구도 sembe 진배 냠내 제바데 파신 주기 냠내데 말이야 지소 주기 냠내다 그래 지난 개와치마 안에 대상 대주기 뭐체 뒤에 챙이 상와 토구도 sembe 냠내지야데 지소 주기 냠내서 어디 무슨 그래.
And for those who haven't given rise to a transformative wish for liberation or enlightenment, but have come to see have given rise to the sincere wish to be freed of the possibility of falling into their lower realms in their next life, they too need to engage in these same practices. And if they do combine the required four and prayer together with concentration and wisdom, they will create the causes to, in future lives, be able to deepen their spiritual development. So therefore, all practitioners need to accumulate these same causes. What will vary is their motivation. But these same 6 practices, these stay the same. The motivating mind is what will change. So these same 6 practices, one will engage in analysis in terms of what needs to be turned away from, what needs to be embraced in terms of ethical restraint, generosity, patience, and so forth. There's this process of analysis. What ways of thinking need to be cultivated and adopted, which ones need to be turned away from and abandoned in terms of all the practices. It's the motivation that varies. So for those who are cultivating the paths of bodhisattvas, these practices, such as generosity, are called perfections because they are conjoined with bodhicitta. And bodhicitta is the essential requirement to become a perfected being. A being where all good qualities are perfected, qualities such as generosity are perfected in the state of Buddhahood. So therefore, these practices, these 6 practices for a bodhisattva, are called perfections. For those who are striving for liberation for themselves, for complete freedom from suffering, a complete cessation of suffering, they engage in the same practices, but with a different motivation. Their motivation will not lead to these 6 practices of generosity and so forth being perfected, so therefore they're called the practices of generosity and so forth. And similarly, for those who are striving for just a good rebirth, they will engage in the same practices, and they will be called the practice of generosity and so forth as well. What differentiates them is primarily the motivation. So read now that 3rd line that we've now finished covering, and that's linked to the 4th line, which in the book will be the 5th. Therefore, training those causes which are not yet complete, and all non-virtues, downfalls, stains, and defilements of the 3 doors. So the 4th line in the Tibetan, all non-virtues, downfalls, stains, and defilements of the 3 doors. This refers to the vast accumulation of negativities that we've accumulated already over the stream of limitless rebirths. And we can call these non-virtues, downfalls, stains, and defilements that we've accumulated through our physical behavior, verbal behavior, and our way of thinking. I'll read from the book now, these 2 lines together. Appreciate the importance of purifying the 3 doors from stains of non-virtue. So as we have in the text here, the stains of non-virtue refers to the entire accumulation of negativities that we've accumulated in this and all previous lifetimes. It is of great importance that these are all eliminated. Why is it so important to purify non-virtues, downfalls, stains, and defilements that we have accumulated with our 3 doors? Is because to whatever extent they remain, we will experience suffering. And then the final line. And then the final line, I'll read my own translation. I'll read the last 3 lines together. All non-virtues, downfalls, stains, and defilements of the 3 doors, it is of particular importance to purify these karmic obscurations through relying on the valuable 4 opponent powers in their entirety. So again we see that, now we have the word entirety, before we had complete twice. So this again, J. Rinpoche is emphasizing completely. So here, in this final line, how does one purify all our past negativities? It's through relying on the four opponent powers in their entirety. So we looked at these last week, and we had the power of the basis of refuge and bodhicitta, which is our underlying motivation. We spoke about regret for the negativities that we can both recall and those that we can't recall, but we know that we would have done, if not in this life, in past lives. And regret for these, knowing that these negativities will lead us to suffer. They will hinder our spiritual development. They will hinder our ability to benefit others. And thereby we generate powerful regret, which is in accordance with our minds of refuge and bodhicitta, the power of the basis. And then we commit to never engaging in these again. The power of restraint, the power of the basis, the power of regret, the power of restraint, and then fourthly, the power of the antidote, any virtuous activity to which one is personally inclined.
다디 직지 디 유슈글야 직이 요래 제름치기 가송라선 나주르니 야냠는 디터체 탈되다 야대신 양사로서데 세상에만에도 신안에 마성함에 비된상 주역이 교 안에 지소 줄래냐면 제 안소속이 뒤도 사셔바디게 봐 님도 쉬고네 샤지도 제외 인식으로다 나주르니 야냠는 디터체스 다 탈되다 야대신 양사로서 경험조이네야 탈받는 예제 거기 동안에는 탈구도 선비게 상로 단위기 두버여바이나 두디나지 제고래 송을 답지.
This verse that we have here has two additional lines, but throughout the text the author didn't include them, making 8 lines because it's verses 17 and 18 from Gyatso Rinpoche's Song of Spiritual Experience, or his short Lam Rim. And the final 2 lines then are, I, a yogi, have practiced like this. You who aspire for liberation should do likewise. So here Gyatso Rinpoche is exhorting his students. This is how I've trained, and I have achieved the results of this. You who aspire for the same results that I'm achieving should practice just like I have.
다시 숭배소 대다로 건배 체들라 로로디에서 체치면 되는 분조 되는 로 죄마 민바 남게와나 아니 기부 중요히 람나 로 장배 락지 중앙 이노 어서 진짜 내내게다 내내게 로 장세다 대신 기신이 많아야 니 잠러체야다 아니 코위게 동아리야 아니 코와래 가서 나송의 동아리 교연통 다 나송의 동아리 탈구스 마산데 탈민도 선비게 근데 내내게 탈두게 삼바게 다 나중에 동안에 타네 개와치마 타다미고 토부도 선비 다 타다미고 봐 먼저 거 던던 톱되게 되니게 좀 슈트하고게 지자다티 토베게 규들라 다대시에 규주디 파장 두스데데 안에 장면 안도 냠렌지야다 안 소수기 디파사샤바디게 냠부터 주군에 샤주도 제 냠렌지 두 삼나 땅에 냠렌지 바에는 이 미치리야 강삼치리야 다 거기 동안 델레다 마산에 타 민우 선비게 파 로로지 다 나서 델레다 타고도 델레 마산에 타 민도 제상 개와치마 타다 미고 방문도 거 타고도 선비 되니게 사바 주마만 비게 해주고레스 딱 거라신이 거라서 지게요 지고레스 지난 되니게 개와 있는 주마만 개와 있는 기부 충을 남냠는 집이게 된다 주요레스 라제 중앙에서도 다 라제라는 아주게 라바도 두스 마샤샤는 담바간 두샤는 메니 파시드는 거로 딘데 방레 관심 등 말디나지 고 라제 중앙에서도 지상 곰 냠는 집이게 디네 곰비게 로제마만 임바지 다 가서 원디오 거방 통일 되니 dimbal로 제마만 임바지 남 제바나 디네 기부 충을 남이림바 기부 충을 남들랑 줄에 예버다 예버 지상 기부 충을 남이림바 냠는 집이게 된다 주버다.
Now we come to the paragraph just below these 2 verses. So again, I'll use my own translation, but just as the translator says, an aside, the reason I use my own translation a lot is because Genla teaches, of course, the Tibetan that's before him. The written translation we have was written so that it's a book that can be read on its own and understood quite clearly. So hence that translator translated in a way that's not so literal, but is very eloquent and poetic, so that it works well as a standalone book. But as an interpreter, someone who translates an oral teaching, that's not always so useful because Genla doesn't see the same words as we have. So anyway, that's why I often use my own translation. So for the first line, I'll use my own translation again now. By meditating in this manner, the mind will turn away from the transient things of this life, and one will strive effortlessly to accomplish an abundance of excellent qualities for one's future lives. So what is being referred to here, and I'll read this again in a second, but the meaning's always, my own translation, the meaning's almost always the same as what we have. It's just I express it differently so it matches what Genla will say. The meaning here is that having reflected on all these previous topics of meditation, where we've come to see the great value of what we have achieved in this life, this human rebirth, the importance of relying on a teacher and what can be thereby achieved, and looking then at the lower realms and what potentially happens when this life ends, so impermanence, as well as the sufferings of the lower realms, and now on causality and karma, one's way of thinking starts to be transformed. One's starting to truly value this opportunity that we have, hold it as truly precious. Moreover, we're seeing that it's finite and that what awaits us is quite potentially a rebirth in the lower realms. Gaining certainty that this is not what we want. We've identified the causes that we need to accumulate and those which we need to purify. And this leads us to transform our way of thinking. So I'll read my translation again. By meditating in this manner, the mind will turn away from the transient things of this life, and one will strive effortlessly to accomplish an abundance of excellent qualities for one's future lives. So what happens through successfully cultivating these previous steps is one develops an uncontrived mind of the person of this capacity, of this scope, where one transforms what one values, transforms what one holds as importance, what one prioritizes. And the strength of this uncontrived realization is, again, indicated, it's like a handprint, which again is what the Tibetan literally says. It's like a handprint. And that is something that's not easily removed, it's not easily forgotten. It's a mind that has been transformed, so that spontaneously one's mind is turned towards our future lives. And this means we naturally turn away from non-virtue. Naturally, we embrace virtuous ways of thinking. Lama Lam Chotu, Dien, Tsi Samadi, that in our Dien Chatter, Chisandi Dien, Gudi, Giwamati, Tutur, water. Chisnada,
당하고 체대라만 저기 자중받아 산지 람냠된 제바다 되니게 람냠 람규레 기투바다 중화나 야 야고로와 그시 마주바나다 기와 치마에 떼려야 야는 저기 최지하고 냠는 제고로와 이니 인자 나주인의 체대래야 다 소소라라도 삼다 오당에 될 체대가 삼다가 되냐고 배 영아마디게 하고 제샤 배하고 제샤 선배게 되니게 냠내 하고 제샤 선배 될래야 지수 일하셔야다 가와고미야다 아 가와고미야 어다 되는 마음반이냐 기와 치마 무퇴심이 상기고 마도비 봐도 당연히 지 냠내 제기 된 야고 주고 대장에 semje 탐지게 된다라 아니지 상기고 더발라 되는 마음반나 대 야고 주고도 대장에 된다라 대 semje 탐지 상유고 봐特别 치도 취념내 제고 타바치면 취념내 제고 대념내 제발라 된 생이 상하고 고구도 대인자 뒤된다라 양이 안지 주름소야이 주름소야다 진배님내지야 주배님내지야 전주님내지야 이는 몰람 답이야 이는 삼대나 셰럽기 두시는 소설하라기 강도도기 아니 야 기회출에 띵이지 고미야 아니 지금 말 제바제야야 아니가 저기 단녀모 베리 빠지 가르샤 될야 안 톱자 가르가르 연대 가르가르 상지 연대 톱나 탈바다 탈바 탐지기며 고와 토야다 파라 미고와 톱나 연대 가르가르 용도 마도 반에 그런 가르가르 용도 두스 제바제도 제대로 냠내 제디 아주 제대라 아주 계치 제와디 계치 부슈 계시쇼 디레다 되네기 제야디 계치 부슈 차고와 안 되네기 계치 뭐 인자 니 아주 강도 지루기 제와디 안 디링기 아주 게다 셰게 랍자디 디레 아니 아주 게 다제왕 한 냐마 마마레 세다디네 데 다디네 아주 개와로 두기네 나샤다 쇼레 디바 몽고사고로와 세단 디바사고 개와메 디바사샤요 디네자 양 아주 야네 양도 녀부 뜻이고네 아니 그야 디바샤야야 샤돔지야디 아니 야네 야도 지와디 인지 좀 차고로 어두시네 안두시야디 아주 게다 람림 데르마 시시노 고주데 개부 충유에 람게림비기 엔 남샤 시네 디기다 셰비게다 마주 도르두치 삼셰바다나 데니기 냠네체 삼다 델레야 라렌테야디 다 냠네체 호바디 디르 랍자디 디르 마셰와데
그래서 이건데 캐나디 책 식빈베디 die 개부 중을 람라 조페 락체 야레데 코나게디 lokme 게탄탈로기 Okay, this one.
Yeah.
Okay. So to summarize then what we've been looking at, I'll read through this paragraph again. Now I'll read the whole paragraph. By meditating in this manner, the mind will turn away from transient things of this life, and one will strive effortlessly to accomplish an abundance of excellent qualities for one's future lives. And back to the text. When this effect has been realized, you will be known as a spiritual aspirant of initial capacity. So now, to summarize what we've looked at tonight, we've actually come to a conclusion of a major outline in the Lam Rim tradition. We come to the conclusion of training the mind in the paths shared with a person of initial capacity. So for all of us, whatever our aspiration is, these are trainings that we need to engage in. Whether one has given rise to a sincere wish to become a Buddha for the sake of others, for liberation from suffering, or to achieve a good rebirth, whatever one's aspiration is, we need to train in the practices that we've looked at here. And we do so under whichever of those three motivations we hold. We need to engage in these. For example, we all need to cultivate an ethical outlook. In other words, always ensuring our mind is virtuous, and thereby our physical and verbal behavior is virtuous. Because this is the primary cause for a good rebirth as a human or a god. And we all need such a rebirth, freed of the suffering lower realms, whether that is our sole goal or whether we long for liberation or enlightenment. We need such a rebirth. Similarly, we need to practice generosity so that we have an abundance of favorable circumstances. We don't have any impediment to our ongoing spiritual development, whether our goal is enlightenment, liberation, or just a good rebirth. Similarly, practice patience to ensure that our sense faculties are complete, that we have harmonious relationships with others, and we can have a positive influence on the life of others. We can use our spiritual development easily to positively influence others. So therefore, we all need to practice patience. Likewise, we need to accumulate the cause that is that of joyous perseverance, taking delight in virtue. Delight in our spiritual practice, delight in when we're not engaging in formal practice, delight when we notice our mind is in the direction of virtue, in the direction of the teachings. And we need to cultivate concentration in the way that was mentioned tonight. Whatever our topic of meditation is, whatever we are analyzing, whether it's the suffering of lower realms, whether it's causality, whether it's the sufferings of the happier migrations, or whether one's cultivating bodhicitta or love, compassion, whatever it is, when you give rise to that mind, abide with it. When you give rise to your realization, abide with it. And in this way, you develop concentration. And you do so repeatedly in the meditation. When your concentration is lost, you have to re-engage in analysis. And then you gain that realization again, and you hold it with concentration. In this way, you're cultivating through analysis, sharpening your wisdom, and developing concentration as you hold your realization. So now we come to the conclusion of this section on the practices that are shared with the being of initial capacity. So here I encourage you to reflect on the life that you've achieved. Because what you have achieved in this life, a human rebirth, marked with the 18 freedoms and opportunities, has come about due to your own individual effort in past lives. So you in the past have accumulated these complete causes, and now you are experiencing those complete results. So you can have confidence that nothing that's presented here is beyond you because you have done it already. Generate that joy, because that accumulates virtue, and in dependence on that strength of mind, you will make ever more effort to ensure that what remains of this life one uses well. And in addition, I want to encourage you not only to accumulate these virtuous causes, but also to engage in the cultivation of the four opponent powers that we looked at last week, and a few weekends ago we looked at in some detail. This too is important, to have these two done in harmony, practices of purification, turning away or eliminating or weakening previously accumulated non-virtue, and practices of accumulation of virtue, such as ethical restraint, generosity, patience, and so forth. So this now brings us to a conclusion of the major presentation in the Lam Rim, practices which are of those which are in accordance with the spiritual aspirant of initial capacity. So the next week we'll continue with the next major outline. We see in the middle of page 27, training of the mind of the path common to the person of intermediate capacity. 당체 인도 수프 당체 인도 알레 So I received a question, and so I'll read it out now. Genla knows the question, and then he'll answer. So Genla, in the previous class, he spoke about various negativities that impede one's practice. So in particular, when one is physically depleted, one lacks energy, how does one work through that, and specifically to gain energy to practice with some buoyancy?
아니 판도 야고 요바데 아니 계획이 될야 아니 제고 판도 요바데 삼다 안베는 아주 개가 주변에 세대에 판바 개와 치매네 안나가 송아 송 기모다 아니 되게 하기 지고 고래 세상에서 대화도 되어봐도 동화 미고에서 나대 개와 치매네 대화 동화 고고 고고 말지 대화 고고 진짜 다들 아주 개주 줍투가 있나 아데데 개와 치매네 되게 줍투고 공그레 삼제 안에 탈바다 탐제 유고 와토야 타니어 누구를 삼제 되게 제바들 제보들 연대 삼다 연대 삼다는 delya an dönyer gütümbadi diyoruz ya şükçe ligre o dire cikti na cikla na sosurana gidan cik lübo subu ge tangchen lega kale şu tapje ne kale tem kale khala chune an cik dinigi da je chönyemle jele jema tubaji ne gapji musikru ma tangchen da dinigi tangchi gabya an jinane da ju da di söbi nyemle jere söbi nyemle jele 동화 당랭이 쇠바 세시고로 와가지고 진짜 되니게다 냠는 제가 당한 제가 강아 유도요다 강아 유변행이 추냠는 배마시기 다 라신이게래 패기 야고 슈치리에 삼제 되지 나신 기위기 초디기 기위 제벌의 연된다 될이야 연된다 다야래 되니게다네 안에 그시 당한쪽에 다데 탕지 자지 투매나 당이 몽반다 당의 루비트스 예수 잡제 근데 예수여도 야야냠네 지기나 선비기 듬바게래 다갈래 카드다 니시고 카드다 지투 마로 안자지 미디어스 예식ገብ기 수보다 탕체 바 수여제 근데는상 이다지 수부 수여도 야장이 무튼이 지긴 선비게 한 상다리 계시 못 차고래 안지네 뒤에래 양치 소소라랑기 신야로 보라 제제 내가래 가진 분이 파주 미리 냐로 마주 근데 아직 배다 탕체 저로 받아 강아 셈도 강아 체 저로 데니스도 표저들 닝지기야 오라 닝지고 닝제 당이 된지 닝제다 이나 당이 강 판도체도 코로나 동아시아다 디기 주의 치리 다 섬제 당이 다 코로나 강아가 제여변 가서 되니 내가 셈쇼 맞아와제 니앙아 자주 셈바다 아니 상계다 차사 데니기 냠는 지세 셈쇼 닝도 깨제 냠는 제네 안도스 줘와데 지상이 양 코로나 나진 지 인생 냠는 제데 자주 셈 몰람나 라마 주변나라 semjen ji yu dana ya ka ba zhang me ba na nya wa ne ba semje re xia na me bi me na ka ba ja se ne we ja ni ji mi ge ji ju chuo de zhen ri fa shen zuo ba jin yu le song duo ji sa semjen ji yu dana ya na ne yu me na ma de ji ka wa mo bu ne ko we ne nga ning chi de ba ye ka ma sha ba ji ngi an de ji sem shu ma cha ba ji an de nyam ne ji gi se ka le da gi se ne sem shu pa go ro an du na xin an ju ngi ye de ni ji tu ji yin san ji 아니 어두시는 아주 셈슈 바에 기억해야 되는 차고래. 아주随便 냠는 제에 되지 차고로 봐. 근데 삼담을 좀 팽기래 가서 동화 규리 대보들이야 연대통. 아니 연대통하다 전시생 받아 뒤수 깔래 뭐 되는 자와래서 건조 자와나 이게 지기 셈비스 다야 돼 뒤로와. 내가 레커드다 지도 삼발에서 파 샤샤변은 잠지루로 와. 진짜 자마 잡아줘. 어다데 가지고 다 류다 되게 누바메나 등이 또 쇠제 아니 야 누바 레레 야자 지긴스 무티니 지긴스 상당원의 계지무 작업을.
So this question is very pertinent because of course often people who's especially those whose lives are very busy do experience tremendous physical and or mental fatigue. So solutions that one can apply would include, I'll list a few. So one that one can apply is to reflect on the benefits of engaging in practice. Because it's through reflecting on the benefits of something that the wish to achieve those benefits will arise. And in particular, if you, knowing yourself, choose the type of benefits that bring joy to the mind or bring energy to the mind, not necessarily joy, bring energy to the mind. And this will differ from person to person. So you recall the benefits of practice in terms of what you will achieve. So in brief, we'd say that the benefits of practice means that one will experience greater happiness. One's suffering and problems will be reduced because one's way of dealing with life's difficulties will be transformed. And through the accumulation of virtue and the purification of non-virtue, not only does this life go better, but so too do our future lives. So that is how I would express it in general. You as an individual see what brings joy to your mind. For some who have already reflected well, sorry, I used the word joy again, see what brings energy, strength to one's mind, and call that to mind. Because for those who, for example, reflected in detail on the sufferings of the lower realms and have given rise to a strong feeling of, I could not bear that suffering, or I have to help those who are suffering there, I have to accumulate virtue on their behalf, then for them, such a reflection will bring great energy to their mind. And thereby, having mental energy, they'll be able to overcome the physical exhaustion. So that's one illustration. But whatever particular topic of the Dharma does lead to strength of mind, think about the benefits of gaining realization of that. And that will bring aspiration to your mind. And aspiration gives energy, it gives strength. So that's one technique. The second and the third will relate to those we know through the perfections. So if we think of the practice of patience, there's 3 divisions, the third of which is patience in dealing with hardships in our Dharma practice. And this is clearly an illustration of that. One wants to engage in Dharma practice, but one's exhausted. So one recognizes that this is an obstacle to Dharma practice. I'm an ordinary being. It's not a surprise. I am going to experience this. And if one is choosing then to use this as an antidote, then one says, I'm not going to be overcome by this. I will ensure my mind stays undisturbed in the face of this adversity, which is the meaning of patience. The adversity here is our physical fatigue. So I will stay undisturbed in the face of this adversity, this obstacle to my practicing the Dharma, my physical fatigue, and I will now practice to the best of my abilities. And in this way, I will accumulate virtue despite being exhausted. And the third solution would be to use the perfection of joyous perseverance. And this then we can understand in 2 ways. And you can practice in either of these ways. In the practice of joyous perseverance, the Bodhisattva, through utilizing their wisdom, will say, right now I am exhausted. This isn't a delusion, I really am. I need to rest so that I can recoup my energy and then practice. And then the Bodhisattva rests. And rests in order to generate energy so that they can practice and be of greater benefit to others. This is one way to use the practice of joyous perseverance. So we'll say this is the third. The fourth way, so the first was to reflect on the benefits of a practice that inspires you. The second was to be patient with keep the mind undisturbed in the face of adversity. And this is the third outline of patience, which is to deal with obstacles in one's Dharma practice. The third then is joyous perseverance. And this is to rest in order to gain energy to practice. The fourth then is also joyous perseverance. And this is to persevere with joy for the sake of others. And here one generates love and compassion and bodhicitta for others, perseveres for their sake. And here I quote a verse from the Lama Chöpa, the 104th verse. Please bless me to complete the perfection of joyous perseverance by striving with compassion for supreme enlightenment, not getting discouraged even if I must remain for an ocean of eons in the fiery hells of a Vichy for each and every sentient being. So here one can recite this 104th verse of the Lama Chöpa, requesting blessings from one's Lama, and thereby gaining strength and joy to persevere in the face of this adversity for the sake of others. So this then is the fourth antidote I'd suggest, and the second way that you can use the perfection of joyous perseverance. Okay. So thank you very much, and I look forward to welcoming more of you here next Wednesday night. Thank you.